As autoridades chinesas investigam uma situação que deve elevar ainda mais o grau de preocupação com o coronavírus, que teve um epicentro em Wuhan, na China. Um paciente da cidade teria infectado ao menos 14 pessoas em um hospital, em um caso que pode ser classificado como de hospedeiro supercontagiante. Chong Xiang-Wang, o prefeito de Wuhan, expôs o caso durante o pronunciamento na estatal CCTV na última semana, segundo reportou a CNN. Ele não deixou claro quando as autoridades perceberam o provável paciente supercontagiante. Gao Fu, chefe do Centro Chinês de Controle e Prevenção de Doenças, afirmou que a tese de supercontagiante deve ser refutada, porque o paciente foi transferido várias vezes. Segundo o último balanço oficial divulgado hoje, a China já contabilizou 7.700 casos e 170 mortes relacionadas à doença.
Now, there's a new warning from the U.S. State Department urging Americans to reconsider travel to China as this emergency grows. And other countries are reporting more confirmed cases, raising fears over the deadly virus. Our Cha Jung-yoon has more.
The world is on edge as the novel coronavirus breaches more national borders, and governments are taking tough countermeasures to protect their nationals. At least 17 countries and territorial entities outside mainland China have now reported confirmed cases. The epidemic is spreading fast internationally, with Thailand's number of confirmed cases now standing at 14. With the most confirmed patients outside of China, Bangkok has unveiled plans to screen all arrivals from China for symptoms of the coronavirus. Hong Kong has at least 8 confirmed cases. Hong Kong on Tuesday announced plans to restrict cross-border travel between the city and mainland China. The deadly virus is also hitting Europe. France on Tuesday confirmed its 4th case in an elderly Chinese tourist. France's health ministry said the patient who is hospitalized in Paris is about 80 years old and gravely ill. Concerns are spiking as the possibility of human-to-human transmission of the virus is becoming more and more of a likelihood. Japan and Germany have both confirmed cases in patients who have never been to Wuhan, the epicenter of the virus. Japan has at least 7 confirmed cases, and the first confirmed patient, a male bus driver in his 60s, has never visited Wuhan, but drove 2 groups of Chinese tourists from Wuhan earlier this month. Germany is up to at least 4 confirmed patients, and the country's first confirmed patient, a 33-year-old German male, did not visit China, but was in a meeting with a Chinese female who later turned out to be infected. The virus has also spread to North America. Canada has confirmed its 3rd case in a man in his 40s who visited Wuhan. In the US, at least 5 people have been diagnosed with the coronavirus, all of whom recently traveled to the Chinese city. As a countermeasure, White House officials say they are considering suspending flights to and from China and has issued a level 4 warning against traveling to Wuhan, as well as warning people to avoid non-essential travel to any part of China. The U.S. also wants Beijing to be more transparent.
We are urging China. More cooperation and transparency are the most important steps you can take toward a more effective response. Beyond that, all options for dealing with infectious disease spread have to be on the table, including travel restrictions.
The U.S. also said it will expand screening of travelers arriving from Wuhan to 20 airports and land crossings, points of entry that account for up to 90%
that are actually named after their microscopic appearance. A corona looks like a crown. And there are, again, dozens of these. There's a few of them that are known to infect humans that largely cause relatively mild upper respiratory disease or common cold. And then more recently, we've had outbreaks of coronaviruses that can cause severe lower respiratory tract disease or pneumonia. So the first of these that we became acquainted with, you might remember, your viewers might remember SARS. They also came out of China back in 2003. More recently, we've had MERS, which is known as the Mideast Respiratory Syndrome virus, which is coming out of the Arabian Peninsula. So now this is the 3rd kind of novel coronavirus that we're having experience with that can cause severe lower respiratory tract disease. These typically spread from person to person via large droplets, respiratory droplets. So when somebody coughs or sneezes, it can be transmissible that way.
As the coronavirus continues to spread across China, other nations around the world are starting to increase their precautions. Just a short while ago, British Airways said it was suspending all flights to and from mainland China. That comes after the British government advised against all but essential travel to China. And Indonesia's Lion Air has also just said it's suspending its flights. Other airlines, including United Airlines, Air Canada and Cathay Pacific Airways, have cancelled some flights to China, although in some cases it is because of a lack of demand. Here's travel journalist Simon Calder.
Flights went out normally to Beijing to Shanghai yesterday. They are now on their way back. The flight from Beijing due in at 3 o'clock at Heathrow this afternoon. The flight from Shanghai slightly behind it. They're both over Siberia at the moment. They will have all the normal passengers.
Who's our expert on global health security, and he might be appropriate to answer that question.
So I think right now the risk in the United States and in most countries outside of China is very low. The outbreak really seems to be concentrated in the city of Wuhan, which is in kind of central eastern China. And in the U.S., we should probably be much more worried about influenza and respiratory diseases that we know cause significant morbidity and mortality every year. So on an average year, 30,000 Americans die of influenza. So we've had one detected case of this new coronavirus in the U.S. So I think it's appropriate for folks to temper their alarm. But it is, I think, reason to be aware that we are vulnerable to emerging infections anywhere in the world. With modern transportation, you can be anywhere in the globe in 24 hours. And so, I think the good thing is it highlights that we've become much better at detecting, these types of events. Our surveillance is much better than it was even in 2003 with SARS. And I think the fact that just a couple of weeks into the outbreak, we have a much better idea of what the pathogen is. We have systems already in place that are doing surveillance and detection and tracking. And so I think we're well ahead of where we have been with previous outbreaks. But again, this is unfortunately something that's going to continue to happen. New and emerging diseases are not going to stop anytime soon.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with the impact the new coronavirus is having on families and businesses as that virus continues to spread. Entire cities in China have now virtually shut down, not just in Hubei province, the epicenter of the outbreak, but across mainland China. Canada today upgraded its travel warning, advising Canadians to avoid all non-essential travel to all of mainland China. And Air Canada today suspended direct flights to the mainland. The government has now organized a charter flight to bring home Canadians caught in the lockdown in Wuhan. There's no clarity, though, on when that will happen or where those people will go.
Part of the process now is figuring out exactly what our protocols will be when we return Canadians that wish to come home. And we're working very closely with our U.S. counterparts who obviously have some experience in this.
A charter flight carrying nearly 200 Americans from the Wuhan area touched down at an airbase in California today. The people were screened before boarding. None showed symptoms. They've agreed to voluntarily quarantine themselves for 3 days. And Japan brought out 210 of its citizens on a plane today. The health ministry says 3 of them have tested positive for the virus. The UK is making plans to fly its citizens home from Wuhan. They'll be quarantined for 14 days. Australia plans to fly as many as 600 of its people out of Wuhan and quarantine them for up to 2 weeks on Christmas Island, more than 1,500 kilometers away from the Australian coast, at the site of an immigration detention center. More than 7,700 cases have now been confirmed in China, an increase of 1,700 compared to this time yesterday. And there are more than 12,000 suspected cases. 170 people have died. There are now more people in China sick with this new coronavirus than became ill with SARS in China in 2003, though fewer people have died. That rapid acceleration has led the World Health Organization to reconvene its emergency committee tomorrow. It will determine whether to declare a global public health emergency.
I believe that the world is pulling together to respond to this outbreak. We are at an important juncture in this event. We, as WHO, believe that these chains of transmission can still be interrupted.
And that remains the hope, but right now Canada is ramping up plans to get about 160 Canadians out of the Wuhan area. Abigail Beeman has been talking to some of them and has our top story tonight.
We get up in the morning, we brush our teeth.
Routine is key for Canadian Wayne Duplessis and his family as they spend most of their days inside their Wuhan apartment.
It was like being in a Walking Dead episode. There's no one around. And you're used to things being a little quiet because all the bikes are electric, right? All the motorcycles are electric. And so you're used to things kind of coming up on you. I turn a corner and boom, there's like 20 people in masks.
We have a lot of food stocked up because of Chinese New Year and family members not coming here since the breakout. So generally, nobody in the house goes outside.
Vancouverite Patterson Wu was visiting his girlfriend's family in Wuhan when the outbreak began. He says entertaining himself is easier than staying positive as the number of sick grows, and he wants Canada to do more.
We're supposed to be one of the most modern countries in the world, and it's kind of sad to see, Koreans and Japanese, they all mobilize so fast, America, but we're so slow.
I would disagree with you.
In Ottawa, the Foreign Affairs Minister pushed back on the claim Canada is slow as he announced Wednesday afternoon.
Over 200 Americans, including diplomats and their families, have been evacuated from Wuhan, and they're now going to travel to California, where they'll be quarantined at the March Air Reserve Base. I've been speaking to the BBC's Sophie Long in Los Angeles about this.
Well, we don't know exactly how long they will stay there at the moment. We know that they will be housed there for what people are saying a period of time. That could be a couple of days or a couple of weeks. Now, that plane, US government charter plane, left China just before dawn local time. It went via Anchorage in Alaska. So they were screened twice before leaving China. They underwent 2 more screenings in Alaska before moving on again to Southern California, where they are now. Now, obviously, a pretty concerning time for all those people on board. 201 US nationals, most of them diplomats, some business people as well. And we're told that when that plane landed in Alaska and the crew said, "Welcome to the United States," there were huge cheers throughout the plane.